One of the most mystifying things for me in working in the area of family mediation, family reorganization is why we have classes in most jurisdictions for divorcing parents, but no classes for never married parents. These parents have challenges of their own. I think one of the reasons almost no jurisdictions have these classes is that it's difficult to know what to teach. And Barb and I wrote a program and taught it for quite a period of time and have now handed it off to other people in our county. We think it's a good one. It gets very good reviews from the parents and from the courts. But one of the things we learned is that it's hard to teach this class because there are all kinds of different sets of parents in there. You have parents in there who are still together, so they're not actually divorced, but they're in there because they're not married and they do have one or more children together. But you also have people who are sort of divorcing and they're going through the same issues. They had an intimate, committed relationship, probably a live-in relationship in most cases, and that has come apart. Now they're going through all the same grieving that divorcing parents go through. But you also have some other combinations. You have people who barely knew each other. You have people who are virtually strangers to each other. Maybe they had a date or two, and you know, that's a whole different set of parents. And then finally, I think one of the most challenging groups are the parents who have these ever-changing relationships. So they date for a while and then they break up and then they're back together, and then there may be other problems of domestic violence or somebody gets arrested, there are big explosions, and then they're back together, and those present additional challenges as well. So what do you teach in that class? It's a little hard to know, but we've organized the class around two things, and we have a handout that you are welcome to use and draw from as liberally as you wish. And we hope all jurisdictions will think about developing classes for these parents instead of sending them hurtling down the street and hope that somehow they are going to find their way to good resolutions. So here are the two things that we've made the cornerstones of the classes. The first thing that we have used as an anchor for the classes is the idea of admiring children, the power and joy of admiring a child. This grows out of a study from Arizona State University in the early 1990s, and the first that I learned of this work was from a talk given by Dr. Sanford Braver and Dr. Erwin Sandler from Arizona State University at a meeting of the Association of Family and Conciliation Courts in Washington, D.C. that year. And it was a fantastic talk about how they had studied what were the items that should be taught at co-parenting classes, whether it was for never married parents or it was for divorcing parents. What topics actually, when taught, corresponded with better outcomes for children. And they said their findings were there was only one topic really worth teaching, and that was the power and joy of admiring children. And you will see in the handouts that we use with our parents, we actually put that research out there because we don't want people to think that we just pulled we don't want the parents to think that we just pulled that topic out of thin air, nor do we want parents to think that we just don't think you know how to admire your children. By the way, something I learned in teaching the class is that I could brush up, and I think I became a more admiring parent even though my children were grown by that time and my stepchildren were grown by that time. I've become a better parent because I make a more pointed priority of focusing on what my kids have done right. And even as our kids are now in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, they appreciate that we notice specific things that they do that are great and wonderful qualities that they have. And of course, now we get to admire one of the neatest things, which is their loving relationships in their marriages and their loving relationships toward their children, our grandchildren. But we talk in there about 8 admiration skills, specific ones. Take a look at those. We go through those in those classes. We actually taught the classes in two-hour sessions that are a week apart. And between the classes, we leave the parents with an assignment to go absolutely astound your kids, make them kind of weirded out by admiring them. Go on a criticism fast for a week and see what effect you can have on them by just using these admiration skills that probably they haven't thought of. So think about making that the number one basis on which you organize this class. It works for all those classes of parents that I talked about, whether they had a long-term relationship, whether they still have a relationship, whether it's a almost no relationship, or it's parents who haven't quite settled on what kind of relationship in the long run they're going to have. But learning to admire our children is a joy to us, and of course it's a powerful, powerful influence in the lives of our children. And the second focus that we use in the class is helping parents to understand that they can choose their feelings. There are things that they can do to change their feelings. Feelings are so powerful that we point out to parents this is what causes nations to go to war, marriages or relationships to either succeed or fail. And they're the most powerful things in the world, and we can all feel, especially in this very codependent culture that we have, that other people are causing our feelings. And you make me so very happy. It's all in our music. It's everywhere, of course. He made me mad. She made me happy, and so forth and so on. And what we point out to parents is that they can choose their thoughts, and those lead to feelings. And there are all kinds of philosophers. Of course, it's through strategies like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, that being proactive, the ultimate expression of that is to realize that we cause our own feelings, and that whatever event happens, whatever's going on in our lives, that isn't what's causing our feelings. It's our thought about that, and that if we could slow down and choose a new thought about that, we can gain control of the experience and have an entire different feeling about it, and then use the energy from that feeling to do something better. And we can also use a change in behavior to add a new dimension to our way of choosing a new feeling, and then using the energy from that to do better in our lives and to be happier in our lives. There's some other components of how we taught the class that we make clear in the paper that I hope you'll take a look at. And the program in our community, by the way, is entirely self-supporting. It doesn't need any court funds. It doesn't need any funds from outside donations. I think there's a $40 fee is what is charged now, and that's enough to pay the people who are running the program and to make it a self-sustaining program. We also include, I want to mention, the work from the Proud to Parent website. This is something that people at the same time in court that they are referred to the class, they are told do the work on ProudToParent.org, print it and take it to your class. And we use the work on that in the class. Specifically, we love to focus on the parent's response to exercise C. That is, what's your list of 10 good things that you're going to be saying to your children about their other parent. That is an aspect, of course, of admiration. You know, once you make admiration one of the key points of focus, it's so easy to teach some other useful things off of that. One is you can't admire your children while you're having a disrespectful or hateful, cruddy relationship with their other parent. I'm not admiring my daughter if I say you're perfect, but your mother's a moron, or rolling my eyes and communicating, you know, negative thoughts about her to my daughter. And parents can understand this. I'm also probably not admiring my child if I don't have a consistent and reliable relationship, if I'm not showing up for parenting time, if I'm letting important events in his or her life slip by without my involvement, if I'm promising to be there and then I'm not. Children take that on as an indication that there's something wrong with them. But you can use all of these as a basis for building a great class, and parents get excited about it. They get excited about when they come back to that second class, by the way, and say, wow, I can't believe how excited my child is to be around me now that I've started to notice things that he's done. And I've told him, by the way, good things that he gets from his mother. It's a wonderful opportunity. And so I hope that you will think about bringing this to your community. Parents who can't afford to pay the $40 in our community are given waivers by courts, or they give them half waivers or something, whatever it is. We're happy to teach them as well. But this can be a self-sustaining program and very satisfying work for you, and very, very important work in the lives of these parents, children, and families in your community.